Welcome to lesson 1 Phone Contacts Application Setup. Here we'll see how to create a Spring startup app, what's there in the web app config that we'll be using. Then we'll see how to load the web app config.java in our initializer.java file. To create a Spring startup web project, click on File, New, Spring Starter Project, give a name, select your Java version, provide your group artifact, and if you want to change the version, you can give a brief description. These things will be used in the Maven. Click on next, select web, click on next, and then click on finish, and you will get your project in the Explorer. The configuration of our application is written in webappconfig.java, which extends WebMVC configurer adapter. We require this adapter class so that we can provide resource handlers and interceptors in our application. We have @configuration, which says to Spring that this class contains beans. Then we have a enable WebMVC annotation. We add the enable WebMVC annotation to our configuration to get the Spring MVC configuration support. For transaction management, we are adding at enable transaction management, so we can use @transaction on our service methods. To get our components scanned from all the files, we are using @component scan. A property file is loaded with the help of property source, and we have our repository set up in com.spring.repository, and we are enabling the JPA repositories using @enable JPA repositories. Apart from this, we have our applications.properties file, which has our JDBC URL, the username, the JPA properties set as true. Then we have our create drop for Hibernate DLL auto creation. So it will read our model and we can directly get our tables created. We have MySQL dialect support as we are using MySQL. These properties are loaded in web app config as our Hibernate properties file. Also, our data source creation uses our properties file to connect to the DB and load the proper drivers. We have our URL, username, password picked up and put in the data source. Our manager factory uses Hibernate JP vendor adapter, so our provider is Hibernate. We use the JPA transaction manager for our transactions. The URL based view resolver is required to get our landing page, which is home.jsp. present in our views folder inside our WebINF. We have a WebMVC interceptor to intercept requests going to data, so we have added the path pattern. We have excluded the home page and the login as these paths are permitted to all. We use a JWT interceptor for an interceptor, and also we have a add resource handler to make sure that the static resources do not go through our dispatcher servlet. Let's have a look how we load all these properties and initialize our application using initializer.java. So we have a web application initializer. This is required when we are not using web.xml. So on startup, we need to load a annotation config web application context and register our web app config file. We also need a dispatcher servlet and make sure that it has our home mapping and make sure that it loads up first. So this is all we require to get our application up and running. See you in the next lesson.